Dolphins fans. One, two, three. Let's go!
You're listening to Fin Too Deep.
Tua back to throw. Blitz coming. They get to him. No, he takes off running. And he's in. Touchdown, Miami.
With the sixth pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Waddle.
Giving you unfiltered, informed, and controversial takes on the Miami Dolphins and the NFL Draft. Here's Reason and Neal.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? We welcome you back as we dive Fin Too Deep. As always, we're your hosts. I'm Reason. That's Neal. On a day where March Madness begins, and my beautiful and lovely wife was born. Happy birthday, baby!
Happy birthday, Miss Reason.
Just got back from dinner with the fam. That's why we're a little bit later than normal. So I apologize. It's my fault, as always.
It's all good. I'm about 20 drinks deep, if that's okay.
Hey, let's just say you're in the spirit of celebrating my wife's birthday, and then we're all good, brother.
Amen,
okay?
Well, hey, man, there's a lot to celebrate, right? Like, this Dolphins team didn't take any time to get better before free agency even start. You know, I remember us ending last week saying we thought a splash was coming. I don't think you and I thought the splash that was coming was as big as it was.
But
we kind of talked about it last year. We did talk about it last year.
Yeah, because if you remember, we knew the Dolphins were sniffing around the Ramsey market. And we knew they had checked it. And it's funny because I said to everyone, Neal, because we knew about that and we knew the Rams didn't. It's funny how, 6-7 months in football time feels like a year, and totally the Rams went from, no, we're not listening, we don't want to explore that, to, okay, he wants to come there. What are you willing to give us? And they're willing to take the fodder that is Hunter Long. As we dive into it, give everyone your thoughts on Jalen Ramsey, because everyone's heard my thoughts, Richmond's thoughts, Ballgame's thoughts, but no one's had the chance to hear your thoughts on Jalen Ramsey, because, my friend, we all thought we had one of the best duos in the league with Byron Jones and Xavier when he was healthy. Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. And my friend, this guy might extend X's shelf life in Miami if he's willing to play ball and restructure his money. And brother, we might be, if they both can stay healthy, we might be in for 2, maybe hopefully 3 years of a real treat. And brother, on the flip side, think about this. If you want to move off X this year, we got all our draft picks next year, Neal. Go draft the guy, groom him as a CB2, right? And then as Ramsey gets older, maybe you want to shift him to safety. That guy becomes your CB1, and you keep the process roll. I just love the move, Neal. I think it's smart. And Neal, most of all, I love how big of a team player Ramsey already looks like with restructuring and him and X bonding. I love it.
I want to apologize to our fan base because I said months ago that the move of the offseason was going to be the Dolphins getting Vic Fangio. But the Miami Dolphins made me liars because they went out and got Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey, for my money, is the best defensive back since Ed Reed. He's a Deion Sanders level defensive back in this league. He's listed as a corner, but he does so much.
See what he said to Armando, Neal?
I did not. What did he say?
He cooked Armando. Armando Salguero called him a cornerback or whatever, right? He corrected. He said, asterisk, I'm a defensive back.
Right.
And he cooked him, bro, because of what you're saying. He's so versatile.
Well, what I like about him, dude, is he talks the talk and walks the walk. And we need that swagger here.
Yeah.
Like, look, it tells me that Mike McDaniel, this front office has a grip of what they have. They got Vic Fangio, and they said, you know what, let's go get a star. The guy who's going to be the guy that we can put in any position we want. I mean, this move, like, I see Dolphins fans panicking on my timeline, and I'm like, what else do you guys want? We went out and got Jalen Ramsey. We needed a corner. I was like, dude, let's go get Rock Ya-Sin. But like, we got Jalen Ramsey. Like, I can't talk enough about how dangerous of a move that is. But getting Needham back, getting the safety Deshaun Elliott, who is, I'll say this, he's better than Brandon Jones, dude.
But Ramsey allowed them to go get a Deshaun Elliott and take a flyer on a rangy, really good thumping safety who can play in the box. He can play in the slot. Like, dude, if you look at Deshaun Elliott, you don't know who's creeping up. You don't know who it's him or Holland who can play the box now. Like, it's so perfect for this. But Poyer was now a luxury. They didn't need to go spend big on safety because of, right? You go look, and you look at David Long, my friend, and I want to get your thoughts on this. David Long and Deshaun Watson, I call them high-value contracts because they got a real good chance of really outplaying the money we're paying them, Neal.
Right. I mean, the best player added to any team this whole season via trade or free agency was Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
I agree.
But David Long was my 13th overall free agent out of 135 that I had ranked. He was my linebacker 3. I had Wagner and Levante David over him. That's it. I had the David Long ranked higher than Tremaine.
I don't care higher than him.
And you can follow me. I have the link out there, and you can see it since day one that it wasn't BS just because we signed him. I've had it out there. I think David Long was
you're talking to, Neal.
I love it, man. I love that we got those two guys to this defense. And this defense as a whole reason is the best we've seen in 20 years in Miami, I think. They're deep, they're versatile, and they're star heavy. And we're not even talking that I think Jalen Phillips is a defensive MVP candidate, Bradley Chubb, Ramsey, Howard, Holland, Wilkins, Agba, Seiler. I mean, this defense is a beast. And honestly, I don't even think we need to go into this defense much more. Like, sure, sure, Bobby Wagner would be amazing.
I don't need him now. Go get Drew Tranquil if you're going to spend money.
I don't think Bobby Wagner is going to happen because I think I see something with this team that's a little bit different. I think they are trying to explore how to be this young mercenary team that could attack you from so many angles. Because you see Jalen Ramsey, you see corner, but he can play safety.
Yeah.
In my draft analysis that I did on Jalen Ramsey, I had him as the number 1 defensive back that I've ever scouted since 2005, and I had him listed as a safety. I thought he was.
That's what he played at Florida State, right?
I think he was the best safety I ever saw, and he came to cornerback, and obviously,
ridiculous.
I mean, like, what?
Bro, he was a beast in Jacksonville. Like, people don't realize how good this guy has been, so elite for so long and in so many different situations. And he's a scheme fit. Like, he knows exactly where. The only thing he needs to learn a bit is the terminology. But because playing under Staley and playing with the Rams, he knows what to expect coming here. And basically, the system Staley installed there, which was Fangio's system that even remained there after Staley left. Like, this guy knows, like, that's what I'm saying. He's so scheme versatile. People do not realize we got basically the modern day Darrelle Revis, and he's still got a lot of prime years left in his, like, that's, do people remember how good Darrelle Revis, and this guy's more versatile than Darrelle Revis.
Yeah, Ramsey's peak's better than Revis's peak.
Yeah.
And he's got 6 years left, and we got him for a 3rd-round pick and Hunter Long. Like,
Hunter Long, let that one sit in.
When I saw that value, I thought Ashton Kutcher was going to pop out and say I was punked. Like,
dude, I thought I was going to get a notification saying I was part of the trade because I'm just as valuable as Hunter Long. The guy had one more catch than I did last year.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, that move. I mean, and everything they've done. Like, look, I'm not going to act like the Dolphins have no needs coming after free agent.
No. I agree.
But I'm going to tell you that they added 2 high-impact defenders on defense, and they added a safety who's one of the most underrated players in this league. Like, you don't take Derrick Henry out like that if you don't bring it. And today, Reason, we can all rest assured that we found a return man.
We'll get into it. We'll get into all that. We'll get into all that. We're going to break down each signing one by one. Don't worry, we got all that.
But this is better than I thought.
Yeah. I want to actually get into when we get to the end here, but one of my final questions is we're going to dive a little deep into that, bro, because I'm hitting you with a lot of surprises. Neal usually gets a cheat sheet from me about what we're going over, and I didn't today, and then I wish I had, knowing this guy was living March Madness to the fullest, but we'll be good either way. I think Devin Bush can fit this defense 110%, but the great thing about I didn't see that, but the great thing about Devin Bush is he ain't gonna cost you anything.
Yeah,
like, he's not
Miles Jack's out there now.
Yeah. But I think peak Jacksonville Miles Jack is gone, brother. You know, O-line is a big. Let me ask you this: was he a product of Poslucini? Like, was that who made him? You know what I mean? O-line is a big problem, and they also had, who was the other dude they had? It was Poslucini, Miles Jack, and they had one other dude there.
Telvin
Smith. Yes. Remember how good he was too?
Oh, and he retired out of nowhere. Never came back.
He was a stud, bro. That linebacker core was anyways.
Reason we never heard what happened to that guy. He retired and we never heard anything about it.
Yeah, I never really, but I remember how dominant he was for, like, my God. O-line is a big ass problem. AJ and Ike and Trash gotta go, man. We'll get into that too. Yeah, because, Barry tweeted out today, we'll talk about it and stuff. We'll go over some of the names because there's a name out there that just, I think, makes too much sense. Neal.
Connection. You thinking that?
Yeah. Okay, so let's start off with this. Okay, so let's go chronologically, starting from when my show ended last night to today.
Oof.
Nick Needham.
Wow.
Now, we got information yesterday around lunchtime, Neal, that he was considering a small deal, right?
Right.
I have to apologize to everyone, Neal, because I doubled down on what we were hearing the day before, that it didn't look like he was coming back. So I was like, you know what? We know Sherfield ain't come back. I was like, he ain't coming back. And I didn't report that that he was considering a small-time deal. Lo and behold, after I go live and log off from going live, boom, the small deal comes down the pipeline. My Patreons and my channel members, they know the exact detail. I explained it all to them and stuff. But
the reason it's not your fault, he took half of what was out there. He took an offer.
Well, you know how me and you were hearing Minnesota?
Right.
One of my Patreons knows him personally and said another team in the mix was Dallas.
I believe it.
And so that's why I thought I thought more than $2 million a year was going to be out there. Even if you're coming off Achilles, I thought Flores would even vouch for him. You know what I mean? Because even if he's back midseason, you could get high-end play from him in the slot, and then you just re-up him. That's what I thought. Anyways, brother, I love the deal. And the depth, we know how much, and the depth we've already built, Neal, with like Trill coming back. We still got the draft. Take your time to get healthy. Cater's in the slot right now. He can man it. You're not going to be rushed. I don't need you out there on day one of training camp. Take in the playbook. Get the terminology down. We trust you're going to know what to do when you get out there. You're that good of a guy. You're that good of a player. So, brother, listen, what have we said this is going to be? Quantity over quality, right? But people, when they hear that, Neal, they automatically think, okay, quantity means we're getting a bunch of jabronis. Well, no, if you smartly spread your money around, Neal, you can bring back guys like this. You can make the moves we made later on today that we'll talk about. Your thoughts on Nick Needham? Because honestly, Neal, I love this move. I think at this price, I didn't think this was even possible. So chef's kiss to Chris Greer, who keeps just chefing it up.
Yeah, I mean, for $2 million a year for Nick Needham, I mean, that is just highway robbery. It's a brilliant deal. The guy had deals that were 50 to 100% bigger on the table than what we offered, and he wanted to be here, and we got him. And I'll tell you, man,
Neal.
We're 4 really high-level corners deep with Cater Kohu, Jalen, and X. And, like, I think this is a move where you let him get healthy. You don't rush him. You say, if you're not ready until the second half of the season, we're good, bro.
Yeah.
Go rest. You're way better than a $2 million player. If we get him on the back half of the season, and I heard he's going to be ready for training camp, by the way. I'm not just saying, like.
Yeah. So that's what I've heard, too. That's why don't rush him. That feels like he's kind of saying, like, listen, Achilles, it's Achilles, isn't it?
Yeah.
We just went through this with Byron. Hey, this is going to be we're going to find out who really wanted it, eh? Byron or this guy. We're going to find out, eh?
I was told he was gone, and I heard that the offer that he had on the table was way more, but this guy just wanted to be here. And, like, sign me up 10 out of 10.
That's what my Patreon said. He just loves Miami so much. He wanted to stay.
Sign me up for a guy that wants to be here. You can't let that guy out the door. You need that in your locker room. You need guys that want to put their body on the line for this franchise. Nick Needham for $2 million, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a better contract in football.
Let me ask you this. I know we always talk draft. Let me throw a scenario at Neal. Keeley falls to 51. Are you still? What are you doing?
Oh, always. I'm always going to take. I'm not going to let good players prevent me from taking great players. I always believe in that. But I'll tell you what, we get to be versatile in the draft. We get to be dangerous.
Jalen Carter falls to 51. What are you doing?
I'll tell you right now, I'm moving up.
Run!
Right.
Bro, if he gets on to day 2, I'm moving up. Like, I'm moving up.
I have a take.
We're hearing it. We're hearing it,
well, I have a take that's going to be very unpopular, and we're not going to have to talk about it on this show. We'll get to the draft. Let's see what happens. But I would make Jalen Carter my DT1 on this football team if possible. I love him.
He's a top 3, top 5 talent in this draft, man.
He's the best defensive tackle since Ndamukong Suh.
And he offers much more as a penetrator and pass rusher than we've had at that position.
But, like, no, Nick Needham, like, just not – I don't want to short play this, man.
Yeah.
I thought he was gone. The depth in this secondary, we're 13 deep right now. Like, this secondary is special. I think it has a chance to be locked down. Nick Needham was a guy that I had said my goodbyes to. Having him back here, frankly, I'm floored in a positive way, and I'm happy because Nick Needham's a great football player, man.
Yeah, he is
tough. I've earned everything that's there for me. Nothing was given to this dude, and he's earned it. Good for him for coming here.
Do you remember when everyone went down in his rookie year, Neal, and we made him like our number 1 boundary guy? He was like CB. People forget he was CB1. Right. We just threw, as an undrafted free agent, we threw him into that. And I don't know, man. That's a guy who, just like Cater Kohu, they put his feet to the fire and he's just, rose from the concrete, bro. I don't know what else to say,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this heading in today, Neal, but I wanted to get your thoughts on this because we didn't even talk about this. So heading into today, I don't know if you saw this coming out from Kevin Cole here, And this is from unexpected points. And what they do is, they go through with official releases, they added Slay returning to the Eagles, all the signings, including Orlando Brown to the Bengals is in this. So when you look at their improvement index, points-based improvement in the NFL plus minus based on offseason roster moves and the draft value they have remaining, right now we're number 3. This is heading in today without the Berrios and everything happening. We are the 3rd most, and you know where that's coming from. Topic number 1, Jalen Ramsey, all right? But you look at, again, the high-value contracts, I think, play into this too, Neil. Deshaun Elliott, David Long. Listen, I think Eric Saubert, he's just another Durham Smythe. That's all he is, right? Except Durham Smythe can get separated a bit better than him. Other than that, he's just another, that's what they want a little bit. You know what I mean? So even Ballgame said, he's literally what they want in a Kittle, except minus all the athleticism and, after the catch ability. When you see that, I mean, it kind of puts things into perspective. Now I know, because again, I know people, they wanted that star running back, Neil. They got themselves gassed up, but Mostert and Wilson averaged 4.9 yards per carry. So when you go by the analytics, Greer's out here playing, and I know you know what I'm talking about, the movie Moneyball.
Right.
Chris Greer sitting here. He's the new version of Brad Pitt. He's just sitting here, What are your thoughts when you see this? Because it does kind of make sense when you dive into the analytics of the value of contracts given to the production at such low value. It's a little bit of a master class, isn't it? Minus obviously the offensive line where it sits.
Yeah, I would say this, Reason. I think as fans, we all fall in love with players way too much. Like it's free agency or the draft. We have a guy circled on our list, and if we don't get him, everything's deemed a failure, right? Like, look, the Dolphins had an offseason plan, and they pivoted and said, if the Vikings are going to shop Dalvin Cook, we're listening. We're in. And then the Vikings said, you know what? We're not going to trade him. So then they moved on. But that tells me the Dolphins are a good franchise because they're willing to listen to upgrade this team. Like, I would say that, sure, it's easy to say, go get Derrick Henry. But the reality of pulling that off is very hard. You can't go out and get 22 all-pros. It just doesn't happen. What they've done from a roster building standpoint for the last 3 years, I would say that Chris Greer has been operating at an Ozzie Newsome level. That's what I think. I think he has been – you've added Taron Armstead, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Ramsey, Bradley Chubb. You've added a draft that had Waddle, Phillips, and Holland. I mean, there has not been a GM that's graced his team with more talent in the last 2 years than Chris Greer.
Mm-hmm.
The cap is real, right? The cap is real. I wish we could go out and sign every top dollar player, but you can't. So you got to find Eric Saubecks of the world. You got to go out and find value. That's how you supplement a Jalen Ramsey signing. And what the Dolphins have done has been amazing. Look, I'm not going to tell you that I wouldn't want a more electric running back, someone who can make people miss more than Mostert and Wilson. But we know what Wilson and Mostert bring to the table. It could be far worse. They're two really good football players. And we saw this thing called the draft. And in June, we're going to have more cap room than anyone in football. So there's a lot of layers to this. We're 2 days into the official start of the season. I want to see the end of the movie before I judge it. But from an overall standpoint, bringing back Wilson, bringing back Mostert, getting depth on the offensive line, Kendall Lamb coming back, I thought was a really nice signing. Eric Saubert was a good signing. Today, Braxton Berrios. I mean, and then you look at the defense. I mean, we could rave about the defense for hours, but what they've done has been amazing. Like, I am sure. Do I want to start on the offensive line? Yes. Is it going to happen? Probably. Am I panicking? No. Like, as it stands today, you'd have to convince me there's teams better than the Dolphins in the AFC.
Yeah. Shout out to Regal. He says, Reason, I remember a couple of nights ago when you mentioned the prospect of trading Wilkins, and to be honest, if it could land us a great alignment in a trade like Tunsil or Darnell Wright, I'm in. And then he actually says, as much as it hurts me to say that, because I mentioned it, I said, you got to start thinking. You got to look at Daron Payne's contract, 4 years, $90 million. You look at what Hargrave got. You got to start sitting here and 22 million and 22.5 million. We're getting into the range of that's not too far off from what we're paying Tyreek Hill. You know what I mean? Like we got to, and that's like the best athlete in football.
Right.
So you know what I mean? Like, it's an uncomfortable conversation, but it's a conversation that I told everyone it's going to happen internally, whether they like it or not, because they're going to look at the number. And you got Zach Seiler for half that price, who gives you similar production. And then if you could supplement, a guy in the draft this year or next year, I'm telling you, people got to understand. Listen, we all love Christian Wilkins.
Love him.
At the end of the day, if Wilkins goes, you can blame Chris Greer all you want on that, because we all knew they should have locked him up last year when the market was like in and around $14 to $16 million for him. Now the market is spiking. That's one of the crazier markets right now when you actually look at position by position. So like that's a thing. Like, you can blame Chris Greer if Wilkins doesn't work out, because Wilkins is going to look at all these other guys like Deron Payne and say, yeah, I'm worth Deron Payne money. And I would agree with Wilkins, even though I don't agree with the number that it's at. I think, I would take Wilkins over Deron Payne. I'm going to be honest with you. And I don't think Deron Payne's worth the money that they got, and the Commanders have double screwed us, because we screwed ourselves by not locking him down last year, being responsible. You got to get ahead of that kind of stuff, man. He was a player that was on a consistent trajectory every year. That should have been an easy wrap it up, man. And
Reason, I haven't heard anything about an extension in the near future.
I haven't heard a whisper on an extension or Connor Williams extension. And I keep bringing it up to people. You got to be worried about that, because we don't even have, we did add it today, but we don't have a long-term replacement in mind. And what we've done is look at how we've priced ourselves against Connor Williams. He was already a top 5 run blocking left guard and an above average pass pro guard. All right. Now we've turned him into a guy who a lot of people are a general consensus. Well, I say after the snap, but they're saying in general, a top 10 center. So now this guy's going to turn around and say, you know how much value we've added to that? Right. Like the guy's going to turn around and say, I'm a top 10 guard or I'm a top 10 center. Dude, the interchangeable, the value of that, some team's going to come along and pay, and he's going to get near reset the market as either one.
Well, I actually think with him and Robert Hunt being both unrestricted free agents, the plan's probably to keep one, and I think it's going to be Robert Hunt. Like, I don't know if Connor Williams is part of the long-term plan. And look, it's not me making the moves, because he would be if I was. I'd have the Wilkins extension, the Connor Williams extension done, and have another $9 million of cap space right now. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do, because we all agree they need one more bona fide starter on that offensive line.
But now we're just hinting towards another major hole, because we only got him for one more year, and we haven't even addressed. Like, now it even makes sense that if John Michael Schmitz is there at 51,
take him.
Like, you know what I mean?
Stephen Villa, TCU.
Well, I like him, and I know my boy Ryan Roberts likes him. I can't wait to have him on. I really like Ricky Stromberg out of Arkansas.
Yeah, no, he's a good player.
Really like that kid, man. And, I think people are sleeping on how good that kid's going to be. So, anyways, my whole point is, but how many chances have we had over the last 2 years, Neil? Right?
Yeah.
We traded up to take Liam Eichenberg when we could have sat pat and took who? Creed Humphrey?
Right.
Huh?
Right.
Right?
Well,
and then they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar the year before, and we traded back on Noah Benogany. Why? Because they didn't expect Cesar Ruiz to go to the New Orleans Saints. They just thought, Cesar Ruiz is going to fall in our laps, and we're just going to make the move, and blah, 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 blah. Then New Orleans takes Cesar Ruiz, and they panic, and then they trade back and take Noah Benogany. That was their fallback. Look at how right the first plan was and how bad the second plan was, bro.
Yeah. There's two positions I don't get when it comes to
should have just packaged it to move up for worse at that. Like,
well, it's running back and offensive line, and we fail every year with it for some reason. And I don't get it. Like, we've had running backs staring us in the face, and we don't take them. I don't think there's a team in football that would benefit from having an elite running back more than the Miami Dolphins. That's
That's why we need McDaniel to build that cachet. He already told us last year they walked in and showed them what they want in a running back and offensive lineman. We went on and got them in free agency, but they haven't supplemented them through the draft. Why? Because we've heard for how many years, Neil, that Chris Greer is stubborn with his draft picks.
Right.
For good or for bad. Right?
Right. But
so
look, we can be critical, but overall, this is the best.
He's done a good job. Yeah, ridiculous.
Like it is. It's the best offensive team we had in 20 years.
But bro, if that offensive line was set, do you think anyone would have been complaining about us bringing back Mostert? What do you think these guys would average if they're averaging 4.9 per yards behind that sometimes disaster last year? What do you think they would have been averaging behind a fully competent offensive line with maybe 1 weak link?
Right.
These guys would average freaking near damn 6-7 yards a carry. Over.
Reason, I think that's where we're going to end up, though. I think we're going to end up with an offensive line with 1 weak link. I think we're going to get a quality starter.
Well, that's what
I think we're going to get Matt Filer. I think that's the guy we're going to line up. Who's an elite he's elite pass protector at left guard.
Then answer that then, because you're set. You just said one of mine. Neil, what's good, bro? Question for you and Neil. Based on who's available right now, who would you have at right tackle? He just named one. Honestly, let me ask you a real question. Would you put that 51st pick up for Josh Nijman or a Terrence Steele?
Or I draft Maryland's Jalen Duncan there.
Do you think he's gonna? Remember how I can't believe how he's out of the first round. We thought he was a lock in the preseason process, man.
Yeah, I think he's going to be there, and that's insane. And that's what I'm saying. And I think he's a better left guy than right side, but he can play both. I think the Dolphins could be in the offensive line market at 51. It depends who's there, right? Like we all think Jack Campbell potentially. We want Jahmyr Gibbs. The reality is, who knows?
Well, the right tackles that I like is I think Freeland out of BYU played a little right tackle, right? And then
stronger though.
Yeah, obviously, and then Darnell Darnell, right? He's the man.
I would take that guy in a second.
But he's not, like we all know how that's going, right? Anyways, like, I mean, who else is Javon Foster played right tackle? Tyler Steen played some right tackle. Matthew Bergeron played some right tackle.
I like Bergeron a lot.
You know what I mean? He played 2020. It was either 2019 or 2020 in Syracuse. He played some right tackle.
Wanya Morris is a right tackle from Oklahoma.
There's options. Warren McClendon from Georgia, right?
Georgia.
What's his face from Clemson? The left tackle from Clemson did play right tackle a little bit there.
Jordan McFadden?
Yeah, he did have some
right out of center a little bit, I heard.
Yeah, he's had some right tackle time too. So
yeah, I mean look, there's linemen here. Look, I'm not gonna panic. Let's see. Let's see what happens. I'm not gonna jump to the conclusion. Like the line needs work. Eichenberg and Austin Jackson probably aren't gonna cut it, but let's see what happens.
Well, they need work, Neil. So Cameron Wolf told us last night, remember when he did the Ramsey update, that they're pivoting towards taking care of the offensive line, right? Well, he got to work, bro. And people aren't overly happy with how he got to work, but needless to say, I mean, the man got to work. So they brought back Geron Christian. Can't body, that ain't moving anything. Then they bought arguably one of the best mullets in the league,
Dan Feeney.
Well, Dan Feeney, and this is your backup center. This is your backup center, right? I mean, this is a guy who he's played 64 games at center and guard, mostly for the Chargers. This is our backup center, bro, with the mully.
I like him, dude. I liked him coming out of Indiana. He's a tough meat and potatoes type player. I actually like that signing.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. It's only 1 year. You're not committed,
$1 million,
right?
Dude.
You're not committed. So, man, who said we were trying to upgrade the offensive line, Neil?
That's a hell of a hairdo, man. I'll hey, if that guy gets
Bro, did you see him at the Islanders game, Neil? Did you ever see him at the Islanders game when I was watching that game when he took the beer can, he's smashing it on his head. All of the Jets were down in the front row at the Islanders game. It was in the playoffs against the Penguins. One of those years they knocked us out, and he's down there. He chugged a beer and he smashed it on his head. I'm like, I think like Zach Wilson was there with them and stuff too.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback.
So, bro, did you see that Mike White post?
No. Oh, the video? Oh, with the 3 Jets? Oh, my God. Yeah, I was dying. I almost crashed my car watching it. The 3 best friends we ever – yeah, I almost crashed my car.
I'm going to play it after we do the Braxton Berrios, bro. I got to,
Dude, I mean, look, in all seriousness,
yeah.
getting Mike White was a good move. I mean, look, I'll say this. If something happened to Tua where Tua's out for the season or something catastrophic, it's not going to be Mike White. It's going to be Tom Brady. I know that. Like, I really think.
Oh, yeah.
If something happened to Tua where Tua's gone for the season, it'd be Tom Brady. If we need a guy for a game or two, it's going to be Mike White. Look, Mike White's, I think with Skyler, he was afraid to push the ball down the field. Mike White is the opposite. He will take that shot. It's a cheap deal. Like all these deals the Dolphins have signed outside of Ramsey and David Long are cheap. You can get out of them easy
high
type
value
of
deals. The high value deals.
Like Deshaun Elliott for $1.7 million might be the single best contract in the NFL. Seriously.
Dude, our 2 starting running backs cost less than $5 million combined.
Right. Yeah, I'm interested. Reason you think in the draft?
But you know what I think they've done, Neil? I think they've set themselves up so because they know Dalvin Cook's willing to play ball. They know Dalvin Cook is willing to when I say play ball, when it comes to his contract, right? He's willing to play with it's about Minnesota's not willing to play ball right now. So I think because of the lack of resources committed, even if they draft someone, they've set it up where at the things change by the trade deadline, they can swoop right in and they can add Dalvin Cook. That's what it looks like. They've got him in the back of the mind because they know he's willing to work.
Well, you know what, Reason? The most trades on any day last year was on day 1 of the NFL draft, and the second most trades of any day last year was on day 2 of the NFL draft. That means, like, these guys like Cedric Wilson that we potentially are shopping, maybe there's not a market for them today.
Next year's picks, we're able to trade after once the first team is on the board and the clock starts, you are able to trade extra year of picks, all of us, right?
I don't think the Dalvin Cook story in Miami is over. I think that's something.
No. They're monitoring,
and I can see the Dolphins making a move if it becomes available. And they did sign Alexander Madison, so
they got all that money freeing up after June 1st, so it'll be interesting. It'll be something to watch. So let's talk about the move that me and you really like here today. I'd actually mentioned this guy a couple of times before bringing him here. I love this guy. Just how dynamic of a returner he is. Braxton Berrios has been signed to a 1-year deal per league source. The deal was negotiated and confirmed by good old Drew Rosenhaus. Listen, I'm a huge fan of this deal, Neil. I also think, listen, is he a grade A receiver? No, but I think he can be a decent contributor in the slot. And, I know they're trying to move a contract, and, by deduction, it ain't hard to say Cedric's probably at the top of that list.
Right.
So, if you got Easy, he can step in that third role. For some reason they're infatuated by Braylon Sanders, so we'll see how that continues to roll. But Braxton Berrios, man, listen, if you can't move off Cedric, right? Let's say you just can't move off Cedric. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Cedric Wilson, Easy E, and Braxton Berrios is a pretty damn fine top 5 for me, if you ask. So, and plus when you look at how much he contributes in the punt and kick return game, Neil, we finally has a guy who can swing the field in our favor a little bit. Your thoughts?
I think you just nailed it, man. Like, he's going to be a serviceable ball, pass catcher, third, fourth receiver, and move the chains type of guy. Will probably be pretty lethal in the slot. But more importantly, this team was embarrassing in the kick return and punt return last year. Yeah. And to have a guy that you can put out there and say, you know what, he's definitely in the better half of the NFL at doing that. That's a huge add. The contract's small. He's a hard worker. He played his college ball in Miami. What a great move. Just a low-key, smart football move. Now we have a return guy. Big add to this team. A team that never created field position outside of one punt return by Cedric Wilson last year. We did ourselves no favors. But now we have a guy that can turn the field. I love it. I hated playing against him. because of what he could create. And now he's on our team, and I think it's a great savvy signing by Chris Grier.
And now, because of that, too, Neal, we officially have the three best friends.
We are back, baby.
I love it.
We are back. And we're the three best friends that anybody could have. We're the three best friends that anyone could have. We're the three best friends that anyone can have. And we'll never, ever, ever, ever,
Oh,
ever.
my God. That is awesome.
Oh, that's classic.
The internet is awesome, man.
Oh, man. Mike White's awesome for actually cooking that up, man.
I love it, man. I love it. I mean, look, I would say this. The Dolphins came to this offseason as a playoff team. They're leaving this offseason as a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm a fan of Braxton Berrios, man, and been a fan. And I know a lot of the U fans are happy that he's back, right?
Why not? Why not? What you look at our receiving core, right? We have a lot of guys, but we don't have that little guy in the slot that could do the dirty work. We don't have that guy. He is a guy. I don't know what the contract is. I haven't seen it. I don't care what it is. I know he'll outplay it. And that's what's amazing. Like, you get a guy like that. He impacts two phases of the game. He's a smart, savvy player, nuanced route runner, high football IQ. I mean, there's going to be a play this year where he gets a punt and changes the game because of his return ability. Great move. I mean, just all the moves they've made, Reason, every single one has a bit of savviness to it, whether it's Eric Saubert or, I mean, we haven't even talked about David Long Jr. that much, but I didn't have him on my list of linebackers because I didn't think we'd play in that game. I thought he was going to get $12 million a year. Like, the deal we got him on, man, I mean.
Yeah, like, look at me. The only high-paid guys I had on my list was, and the only really high-paid guy I thought was Tremaine Edmonds, and that's because I know how much he wanted to be here. Other than that, I thought Drew Tranquil and those guys would be the low budget, and Al-Shahir would be the low-budget guys that make sense. I didn't think David Long playing at the level he plays would be had for like 2 years, $11 million with a lot of structure in that deal.
Well, I'd like to see us still kick the tires and Drew Tranquil.
Love it, though.
Possibly. I'd love to add.
I would love it. I would love Drew Tranquil.
I mean, he's out there, and you can't think he's going to break the bank at this point.
I would love Devin Bush, like someone mentioned earlier. Like, what about A.J. Johnson, right? Scheme, good athleticism. You could tell what they're looking for with all these guys. They want ranginess, right? They want athleticism. That's why, hey, it made sense that if we heard Jerome Baker wasn't safe, but at the same time, based off what they're looking for, like I said, he makes sense if you want to keep depth because of his ranginess and his speed. And like I've also said, and I'm not a Jerome Baker fan, but you got to give him his flowers. He's gotten better every year.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not anti-Jerome Baker. I think he's adequate.
I don't like his contract. That's what I don't like about Jerome Baker right now. That's
last year. This is his last year. There's no doubt. I mean, they saved substantial money after this year. But I do think there's still a dangerous team in linebacker in the draft. If Jack Campbell's there, they're going to run and take him.
Owen Popo, you see what they're looking for now, and like he makes a ton of sense right now, right?
Well, and I was definitely told they loved DeMarvion Overshown from Texas. I've heard they like him, and I think
they interviewed him.
Yeah, I've heard he's going to get a top 30 visit. So he's a player they like. He's a rangy. Honestly,
they like those Texas guys, eh?
He reminds me of a little bit. Fred Warner, his athletic ability, his cover ability. His profile, he reminds me of Fred Warner.
Yeah. This linebacker class is good, bro.
It's good. And that's why I think you got to play in it a little bit.
Mike says Cedric are second and a 6 to the Cowboys for their 26 to get a right tackle.
Yeah. I honestly I don't think there's a trade market for Cedric Ogba right now.
And I think you're gonna have to the only right tackle I think to target in the first round is Darnell Wright, and you're gonna have to go up. You have to go higher than 26.
And maybe DeJuan Jones, but neither of them are going to be there when we're on the board.
Yeah.
Neither.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at Matthew Bergeron at round 2 if he's there. Jalen Duncan. Good players. I'm not saying not to take them. I mean, they're on my short list. Steve Avila, who's the left guard from TCU.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Jack Campbell guy. I think they're done in the secondary. But I'll say this, because I told you this on the phone, Reason. It's a great great pass rushing class. They have 2 studs, but they definitely are going to lose Van Ginkel. Who knows if Ingram's back? Maybe they play there. But
well, we've heard Ingram back. The thing is, a team can swoop in at any time, but what we've been hearing is Ingram back after June 1st on
I was told 4 to 5 million June 1st.
So, but we'll see how that plays out because anything can happen between now and June 1st, right? And so,
yeah, I would say with the Cowboys, pay attention because they're chasing Odell Beckham Jr. There are rumors that them and the Chiefs are the teams on the short list for DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think they're thinking Cedric Wilson yet. And that's what I'm saying. Like on the draft, if you swing and miss on free agency and trades, then a guy like Cedric makes sense. Right now, no one's lining up for Cedric Wilson.
Yeah, I agree. And then we made another thing, and we knew the staff really liked him. And another guy they brought back, we knew the staff really liked him last year. We heard privately how much they did. And I mentioned it multiple times on stream. They brought back John Lovett too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they brought back John Lovett there. It was kind of like their final move of the day. Well, it was obvious, it was obvious with how much they liked him too, not only with what I was hearing last offseason, but also when you saw how he was totally in terms of injury, he wasn't able to make an impact or contribute. And look at how long he stuck around before they finally, said whatever. So they brought him back. So they supplement the fullback room a little bit more as well. Listen, let's talk about this for a sec. What are your thoughts on where would it stand right now? And we're going to get to the O-line in a sec. That's the next thing on the docket. So leave that out. Minus the O-line. Well, actually take the O-line into account. What would you grade them after 2 days of the legal tampering and 2 days of free agency right now? Because I'll tell you mine, and then the floor is yours to give your explanation.
The off-season grade?
So just off free agency right now, 2 days of legal tampering, first 2 days. Because where I'm at is until they figure out this offensive line, I'm in a B to B plus range. But if they figure out that offensive line, all of a sudden you bump to it. Like just a competent right tackle would bump me up to an A plus. Right. All right. So where are you at with this right now in terms of how you feel they've done in 2 days of legal tampering and 2 days of official free agency?
I'm going to give them an A minus to the same range you say, because I think adding Jalen Ramsey to me is adding a top 5 defensive player in football.
That's why I say like B plus. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love David Long and I love Deshaun Elliott, and I think everything else is okay. I'm just being honest. But I'm with you. They need an offensive lineman, and they know that. I think they're going to get one. The offensive line is the only thing that concerns me right now. Even tight end. I'm okay with Durham Smith and Eric Saulbert. I don't think they have to be great. I think we need one more quality starter. We need one guy, left guard or right tackle, that we can lean on as a starter. If we get that, we're golden. I truly believe that. I think the beauty of it is right now we're the interesting point of free agency. The big money's gone. Now it's value time. Isaiah Wynn's out there, right? Matt Filer, who I mentioned earlier. There's good football players that are going to be available for way cheaper. Like Reason, if we would have signed Mike McGlinchey to that money, I would have been devastated because it's the most.
Okay, but let me ask you this, because we haven't had a chance to talk to everyone publicly, because I wouldn't have been. I really liked McGarry's money.
Yeah, McGarry was good money. I agree. And Orlando Brown Jr.
Yeah, but Orlando Brown Jr., look at how much Orlando Brown. Okay, this is where I got to give the Bengals props. I believe, don't get me wrong, I believe we're all in on Tua, but look at how hard they've tried to supplement that offensive line. Why? Because of that ACL injury in year 1 of Burrow, and they know we can't last without this guy. But look at La'el Collins last year. Now they're bringing it out, and they might cut La'el. But even if they do, look at how willing that it's just throwing money to make sure that position gets, sticks, because there's talk about they don't, and I follow some Bengals people who are plugged, and it's, either kicking Jonah Williams to right tackle or just cutting bait with La'el Collins. And man, either one becomes an option for us. All of us.
I'm in on La'el Collins, and I know he didn't start off great in Cincinnati, but I'm still in for cheap.
Because Barry Jackson earlier today, Neil, I don't know if you happen to see this. He tweeted out that Dolphins have at least been exploring the right tackle market, FYI. Not sure where it ends up, but while they still believe Austin Jackson can be a good player at right tackle, I do not believe he will simply be handed the job.
Good.
Still months left this offseason. Now, you mentioned a few names, okay? So, Jermaine Illuminor, former Miami Dolphin, right? That's a guy who he's out there right now. Obviously Matt Filer makes the most sense. Josh Nyman and Terrence Steele have second round tenders on them, but I think they're worth if it starts not falling your way,
right?
Like in terms of Darnell's gone, Campbell's gone, all these guys are gone. Who are you gonna get better at that value? Anyways, Cam Fleming's out there, Brandon Shell could come back, George Fant's still out there. Good old Billy Turner. You mentioned Isaiah Wynn, but we talked about a good value. Okay, so I thought Caleb McGarry was really good value. Even the Patriots went out and got Riley Reef. And but I thought Trey Pipkins at only 7.25 million a year. That's very good value. And my thing is, listen, you can mask one weak link between Armstead and Connor Williams. If you want Eichenberg or Jackson to work, throw them in a battle and bring back Lester Cotton and put Robert Jones in the battle. Best man wins at left guard. But when you got two weak links on two opposite sides, you can't slide protections to start solving. This screws up how you can do things and mask things. So, you want to bargain bin shop at running back, knock yourself out. Neil, because, when I started on YouTube in 2019, one of the first things I said, I don't care if you draft Tua, I don't care if you draft Burrow, I don't care if you draft Herbert, I don't care if you draft Jordan Love. Build me an offensive line like at the time Oakland or at the time Indianapolis. Those are the two examples. When Quentin Nelson was in his prime, that's the two examples I used. Build me that, because you know what I said, Neil? If one of these guys don't work out, you just bring in the next guy, let him go to work. And on top of that, an elite offensive line makes above average to good running backs and receivers. All of a sudden, they look really good. Some of them look great because quarterbacks given more time. The lanes are way more open and much more frequent for the running game, et cetera, the ripple effect. So I just think that's worth. Maybe I'm old school, Neil. I love Chris Greer.
Yep.
But there's a few things that are very glaring flaws to me. And the biggest one is bargain bin shopping on the offensive line and being stubborn not to move off your guys because you felt you invested high capital, so you got to make it work. When career, you've done so many other great things that will applaud you. And this is why, Neil, I don't believe McDaniel is involved in this decision, because I'll give you the example, Neil. Chase Edmonds was one of his first big moves here. He raved about Chase Edmonds. How quickly did he walk into Chris Greer's office and said, get that guy off my team. Go get me Jeff Wilson. I know what I'm getting. That's why I don't believe he's all in and Eichenberg and Jackson, because we've all watched the tape, and he's a bigger tape guru than all of us combined.
Right.
All right. So your thoughts, Neil, because they got to make something happen, Neil. This is what's going to put them. Listen, they can go from a B+ for me right now to an A+ just with a competent right tackle. I'm not asking for a star, just a competent guy.
Right. I think that it honestly is probably the best for this franchise if the Dolphins score an offensive lineman at pick 51 or 2 or whatever it is. And it's not what I want to do because offensive linemen are boring, but we need to get one more guy in there, man. Like one more quality starter. So I'm starting to lean to that. Like if John Michael Schmitz is there, you run to the podium and you kick Connor Williams back to left guard. Yeah. Steven Villa, you go and you get him, you make your left guard, and he can play center too. You need to go shore that up, because I do believe it's not just the running backs, but to get the best Tua Tagovailoa, you got to keep them up. You got to keep them up. You got to keep them protected. It's going to benefit everyone. The more time Tua has to throw, the more cerebral he can be.
Yep.
The more time Waddle and Hill have to get open.
Yeah.
I just think that this offensive line should be the priority for the rest of this offseason. And if that means the draft, so be it. They got to get it right. They got to get it right. They cannot let Austin Jackson or Liam Eichenberg sabotage this season for us.
I agree.
We're too damn good of a team. This is a Super Bowl contending team. If Liam Eichenberg is out there on his back every third play and Tua has to tiptoe around him because he's getting his ass kicked, there's a problem. If Austin Jackson's out there not knowing who to block, this is year 4. These excuses of young players, all that shit's gone. You're either going to show up and play football and be good, or you're not. I don't want to hear any more excuses for him. It's over. The grace period is over. You're either going to be a quality player or you're not. The reality is both of them won't pan out. One of them will be a problem, and you need an insurance policy. If you get Matt Filer and you put him in left guard, that's an upgrade, and you still should draft a tackle because it's that important to get it right because the variable here is we got a left tackle who's injury prone. Love him. Great player.
Top 3 when he's healthy.
The contract is signed knowing that he's not playing 17 games. That's why he's 5 years, 75, and Mike McGlinchey's making, 20% more than him. That's why the contract it is. You need one more good lineman, especially on an offensive tackle, so that if Armstead's down, you have a guy there. To me, it's time to be bold. And you get there in the first round, and the board's falling your way. I don't even care about future picks, Reason. If you have a guy you have a conviction about,
go get him.
Trade next year's first-round pick and get back in this draft and go get Darnell fucking Wright. I'm sorry to cuss.
Yeah, no, you're right. Don't make the worst mistake all over again. He was right there, and you didn't want to give up an extra pick that ended up not mattering in the long run anyways.
Because as brilliant as Chris Greer has been with Ramsey, Tyreek, if he lets Austin Jackson derail what we have, that's on him too. And
it is.
It's time to really watch the tape. You watch the tape, and I am primed for St. Patty's Day. I am lit like a Christmas tree, and I love it. But it is time to watch the tape. If you watch the tape, Austin Jackson is clueless at right tackle. He doesn't know who to block. He hasn't gotten stronger. Now, he is Reason. I will say one thing positive. He's working out with Duke Manyweather and Terran Armstead this offseason. I hope that helps him. If that doesn't, if that doesn't, nothing will. But I'm also
he's working with Richmond.
But I'm also not a Liam Eichenberg guy, dude. I don't see the left guard in him.
Do I.
I don't see the athleticism.
Zero anchor and no anchor, bro.
I mean, he has no athletic ability. He has no anchor. Dude, he spent so much time on his ass. Like,
remember how much they preached his technique coming out of Notre Dame, and we've just seen a technical disaster. And someone said, well, is the grace period over for Tua then? We're talking about ability right now. There is no Tua's answered the ability questions.
Right.
The grace period for Tua is only on durability. We're talking about Jackson and Eichenberg, who didn't flash, let alone show a ceiling, a top 3, top 5 ceiling at their position in year 3, right? They've had durability and ability issues that still all remain. Tua's at least shown us his ceiling. And even before that, I was talking about EM Dolphin fan with this. I said, you look at his rookie year, right? Tua would flash about 2 to 4 times a game. To 2021, flashing about, 6 to 8 times a game. Then last year, we got a full dose of the ceiling over a 12-week span, and it was top 3 in the position and in the MVP conversation. So until Austin Jackson or Eichenberg can give me a 12-week span, hell, give me a 2-week span give me a 1-week span where you're top 3 at your position. They haven't even given me that. They haven't even given me a quarter. All right. They haven't even given me 5 minutes of NFL play being top. So don't even bring Tua into this. All right. Because we're talking about ability.
Right.
All right.
Look, dude, they need to fix it. There's 2 offensive linemen in the first round at the end of it that I think are going to be worth moving up for. We talked about Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright is going to be one of the league's best right tackles in 2 or 3 years. We're going to talk about him and be like, wow, we should have got that guy. The other guy is Florida's left guard, Osiris Torrance. If you can find a way to get that guy on your football team, like, look, Liam, get the hell out of the way. You got a guy, when you look back in 3 years, is going to have 3 Pro Bowls under his belt. Like, those are the type of guys. It's not about, we've got enough flash. We have Tyreek Hill. We got Waddle. We got Ramsey. We got Chubb, Phillips, Javon. We got it. We got the flash. We need the meat and potatoes. Go get me one quality offensive lineman. Right now, man, I'm going to tell you, outside of Matt Filer, There's players. I don't love it. I don't love it out there.
No.
I don't love it.
I'd rather go spend the money on Isaac Seumalo and
well, there you go.
And go figure out, because that guy, you might as well just go get, he's elite. I think he's an elite guard option that's still out there.
How's he out there?
I don't know. He must
Money?
be the money. Must be the money.
Well, and that's where it's like, man, like I'm telling you, man, if we get this line right, this team's going to be hard to beat, man.
Unbelievable.
And they're hard to beat already, but I'm talking I'm not talking just division. I'm talking Super Bowl type
Super Bowl.
stuff.
Yeah, man.
This team is right there. They added Jalen Ramsey. They added Vic Fangio.
Oh.
This team is ready. Don't let the line be the Achilles heel again. It's been 5 years plus that the offensive line has been the heel.
Oh man, listen. We're going into day 3 tomorrow. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, Neil? Because man, it's it started off with such a bang, right? And on Sunday, and everything's kind of been really high value contracts and names that football nerds get excited about and film nerds get excited about. Not the big sexy names that some people are clamoring for. Just your overall thoughts going into day 3, and what do you expect to play out until the next time we speak to everyone?
I think we're the most exciting team in football. The moves we make every year, coming off a year where you add Tyreek Hill, you go get Jalen Ramsey. We're polarizing. We're fun. We add top-level talent. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Jet, and I'm licking my chops to smack that dude down to reality. As a Dolphins fan, the rivalry is ignited more so than ever. I want Aaron Rodgers to be a Jet at this point. I hope it works out because I want to get that dude. That interview that he put out there was the most pat me on the back, self-absorbed bullshit that I've ever seen. And I think Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback. But, man, dude, you love yourself so much. You told me you're 90% retirement, and you went in the dark and came out. But because you think you were trying to get traded, dude, I don't buy you for a second. I'm going to introduce you to a guy named Jalen Phillips because he's going to come get your ass next year. And if you got time to throw, we got 2 corners that are going to pick you too.
I want named Jalen as well.
I want the Jets to feel like they got a shot, and I want them to feel like they're Super Bowl contenders because I can't wait for this team to steal them.
I want them to trade Elijah Moore and make Alan Lazard the number 2 after giving him $11 million a year. Go get Randall Cobb, you crazy idiots.
Steal targets from Garrett Wilson. Do you know that Alan Lazard's best season of all time was 755 receiving yards? What a horrible contract. And they're going to have to cut people on their defense to get Rodgers in there. It's on, man. I'm fired up. But I'll be honest. The Miami Dolphins, if you ask me today, and I have to think objectively, to be the man, you got to beat the man. The Chiefs are on top of the mountain. The Chiefs are on top of the mountain. They're the guy. The Bengals are number 2. They've been there. Man, if you don't, I believe the Dolphins are 3. I think they're better than the Buffalo Bills today. And you got to prove it on the football field. But I
made a bold prediction that we're going to win our division and the Jets will win a wild card and sayonara Bills in 3rd in our division. Leslie Frazier and Tremaine Edmonds, man. Watch Mr. said, how much do I need to contribute to the Dolphins organization to sign Bobby Wagner?
Honestly, man, I think he's going to go back to Seattle.
Yeah, he wants to play on the West Coast, man. Anthony Giannoletti says, appreciate the content you guys always put out. Thanks. Anthony is the man. But yeah, that's what we've been hearing, right? That he wants to go back to the West, that he doesn't want to leave the West Coast.
Yeah. And look, man, I would love Bobby Wagner
with the $50 bomb. Oh. Happy birthday to the wife. Appreciate it, Topher.
Reason you got to go run out and get a cake or something with that, man. But no, 100%, man. Look.
Appreciate you, Topher.
They're going to have needs. They're going to have needs, man. Look at the Chiefs. They won a Super Bowl with the most pathetic secondary I've ever seen and a bunch of jabronis catching balls. You're going to have holes. Maybe the Dolphins are going to have some holes. I don't know what they're going to be, what the team's going to look like when all's said and done. When you have strengths that are overwhelming, it mitigates those holes. This secondary can line up with any passing group in the league and cover them. With Ramsey, with Howard, with Javon. Dude, I am telling you guys this right now. I want to emphasize this. Go watch Deshaun Elliott highlights. Go watch him. I am telling you that this dude is a steal.
Brother, I prayed the highlight of him laying out when he was in Baltimore, laying out Derrick Henry. Shout out to the watch, mister. The $50 bomb. He said, wait, it's your wife's birthday. Let's go. Happy birthday. Go celebrate.
Well,
oh, now I'm taking her out to a nice dinner on you guys.
There we
Again,
go.
second dinner, huh?
Yeah.
Teron says, I want Rodgers to the Jets so Belichick doesn't get those wins. Let's protect Shula's record. Fins up.
Amen.
Hey,
Well-
thinking long term, eh? Teron,
Well,
appreciate you watching.
And I'm loving everyone jumping in here and contributing because this is what it's all about for me, man. The reason we do this is to have our audience participate with us, enjoy it. Like, so much of the Twitter space is the fighting about shit. Like, I love this because I love when I see people jump in here excited about their football team. I can't wait till we win a playoff game and I'm pounding beers with the people that are listening to this in the parking lot after the game celebrated. That is one of the best parts about being a fan. This is the time to be a Dolphins fan. This isn't where we were 2 years ago. This is different, man. They're a different team. And we have no quarterback questions for 2 more years. There's no quarterback questions. Tua can be comfortable. He can be happy. He can enjoy it. And, dude, have you seen the videos? Have you seen the Nick Hicks videos? Tua's already working, baby.
Yeah,
He's
man.
already working.
He's one of the hardest workers in the NFL. We've seen this every year. And don't you remember people in our fan base tried to mock him for it? Do you remember that?
I'm telling you, the Tua World Tour is going to continue this year. And I really believe this, man. This 2-year window is special. It's not for me about winning a playoff game anymore. We're above that. We're better than that. This is a team that can line up with anyone in football and win. We got great coaches. We got great players. We need the ball to bounce our way. But, man, we almost beat the Buffalo Bills with Skylar freaking Thompson. With Josh Boyer.
We would have beat him with Mike White, brother.
Yeah, with Josh Boyer. You get me Vic Fangio. You get me Tua back healthy. You get Jalen Ramsey into this defense. You add David Long. We didn't have a linebacker David Long's level last year.
No.
This team, I'm telling you guys this right now, is so dangerous. You got to be ready and respect this.
Oh, man,
this is lucky to be in this position right now. It's been a long time. I tell people this all the time. I started being a Dolphins fan when I was 4 years old. I got a Hutch. For those who don't know, a Hutch set was the helmet, the crappy fake Dan Marino jersey with the white and orange pants for my 4th birthday party. My dad was in Miami. I was going to Miami all the time. I saw Marino play. I've seen Marino live 70 times. I'm in Baltimore. I've had season tickets to the Dolphins for 6 to 7 years of my life. I love this football team. And since 1986, this is the best I've ever felt about the Miami Dolphins. And that's all the Marino teams included. I truly believe this is a championship caliber team. I'm pumped, man. I'm real pumped.
Kind of crazy how we both had parents. Like, we used to always go down to Florida all the time.
Right.
My dad, huge Marino fan. Like, one of my first pictures of me as a baby is my dad holding me and he's in his Marino jersey. Like, kind of crazy how we come from out of state dads who are just like, because of the Florida tie of them always wanted to take the family down, they just became. That's kind of crazy. Because I didn't know that whole behind you.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, my dad's company actually built the Islands of Adventure. And I could come down wherever I wanted. I was the first person ever to get on the Spider-Man ride and the Incredible Hulk. I'm the first ever. And I used to go there, man. And, like, Marino's my guy, but my number 2 of all time is Zach Thomas. And I would go watch Zach Thomas play, man. And I would sit there, and that was during my high school playing days, man. And I would just watch Zach Thomas repeatedly.
He's
and
amazing.
I don't know all the audience out there, but I will be there. I will be in Canton in August. I will be there for Zach's Hall of Fame enshrinement. Man, that to me, like, it's been a long time coming. But when the world starts to go right, I feel like that's heading our way. Now we got to get our boy Richmond in there, and that's the next agenda. He deserves it. But, like, this Miami Dolphin franchise has things finally heading its way.
Wait.
And
Bro, I can't wait to have Nick on for my yearly every offseason to have him on, and we've been planning it for a couple months, and now with all the Dolphins he's working with,
dude, who do you have out there today? I saw it. Was it Cater?
Yeah, he got Cater. Yeah, he's got a bunch of them now, man. Like, he's got Calvin Ridley's part of his program now too, right? Like, man, he's killing it. Shout out to Freedom Stirfire. Happy birthday to the White Reason. Thanks for the breakdown discussion, gentlemen. Pumped about the Finns NFL takeover, baby. By the way, next week, guys, next Tuesday, I'm gonna have Daniel Furones on, and we'll be going over free agency and stuff like that. So Daniel Ferones will be on next Tuesday. I was gonna have him on this Tuesday, but it just didn't work out with, with everything going on. So he'll be on next Tuesday. So, guys, if anything breaks, if anything happens, check out for me tomorrow. Hey, if we keep making the moves we're making, I'll be back for a recap show. But as always, we'll see y'all next week when we dive in Fin Too Deep. Until then, everyone stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. And as always, like Neal just did, fins up all day, every day. Thanks, everyone, for the donation. Smash the like button. We had over 800 people in the chat tonight, and we're at over 750 all right now. So smash that like button on the way out. Subscribe if you're new. We are about to hit 11K. So let's do it, baby. Appreciate
Happy
all
March
y'all.
Madness.
Yes, enjoy it.
Right, baby.
Yeah, and get those parlays right. Take it easy, everyone.